Hello everybody, October 16th, 2023. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. On Friday, I guess that was, the 14th, it was the bears to lose. And lose it they did. So remember though, I said that, it's still probably temporarily bullish. But the simplest path at the time would have been to continue pushing down. However, I had this in here. If as long as Bitcoin doesn't sustain above 27,150, I expected that to happen. However, this right here, I always give alternatives. It's not because I don't know what's going to happen, which nobody knows what's going to happen for sure, right? It's because of that exactly that we give alternatives, and I give alternatives with levels, with actionable information, right? Because the bulls pushed over 27,150, I was able to take some profit on my shorts, set break-even stops, just in case it went up to the 29.30 area, which I was kind of expecting it would. If 27,150 broke, I said, 29 to 30K area is probably going to get hit. And that's exactly where it topped out. It topped out at like 30K exactly. So, now, obviously that happened a lot quicker than I would have normally expected, but it is what it is. It still hit that 30K area. Again, temporarily bullish most likely. Bigger picture still says we're ending somewhere in the 21 to 25 area most likely. So we'll take a look now with what we have. At the time, I also said, I don't want to be a perma bear here. That low time frame did look like an ABC down, and it's not a great sign for the bears in the short term. So obviously, that ended up being correct as well, that, the bears weren't able to take over then. All right, so let's take a look here at the 4 hour. I know I've got a lot of, drawings, olds, counts and stuff on here, but the main thing we want to look at is that I believe this top here was our major topping point. And then we were looking for this yellow zone to be hit back here. It didn't get hit. So therefore, and it was 3 waves down, therefore this looked like a W. And this looked like an X. As we were topping out here, I said I expect this to come back down and hit this yellow zone. It came back down. We got about 25K. It didn't quite hit the yellow zone though, so I've been expecting it to still do so, right? We still need to complete that move down most likely. So that being said, this is a Y wave, okay? And a Y wave should consist of an A, a B, and a C. We were looking like we were going to have that bearish direct path here where this was our A in yellow, this was our B in yellow, and we're going to have that direct move down to C. However, I had the alternate on here in orange, that being A, B getting reset up here around 29 to 30K, and then C moving down somewhere over here in orange. So what we're going to do is remove the yellow count off of there. Since obviously that didn't play out, we're going to go move into this alternate here, change this to our yellow, because that's now primary, and change this little W here, that's our WXY within B. So we're going to change that to yellow as well. So there you have it. We have a W, X, and most likely a completed Y right there for that B wave. Once again, this is not 5 waves. This is not 5 waves. So we're really not looking like we are in any sort of sustainable bull market. We very likely topped out right there at about 30K. And we are probably going to head down. So a couple other things leaning in that favor. 4 hour PPO, extremely overbought. 4 hour RSI, extremely overbought. So kind of no matter what happens here, we would expect this to come down. even if it's going to go into the alternate bullish scenario, which is that's 1 and that's 2, I would expect that we would probably sort of consolidate here for a while to let these things reset. So if we kind of just chill out here, maybe come back down, make another push up, kind of do some chilling out to reset, then potentially we're not going down here and we might go into that more bullish scenario. So let's do a little bit of fib extension work here and just see, assuming that's 1 and that's 2, where we might expect 3 to go. That's probably not the end of 3. It's probably A of 3. It doesn't look quite high enough. So I would expect most likely, now keep this in mind, you're going to take this with a grain of salt because 3-wave moves, diagonals, which this would be a diagonal, are very unreliable. And so we can't really rely heavily on them, but it would look something like this. We would see A was right there, probably see our pullback for B happening now, and then we would need to see another push up. So this basically, I want to see this get above 30.5 and more ideally up to like 31, maybe even 31.5 at this 1, 2, 3, 6 to say that's likely a 3. And that also then invalidates, this is that level right there, 31K. That invalidates this move down probably. Again, we're dealing with all chop and 3 waves. So could it come up above that and then come back down? Yes. It would probably just come down to test this level though without going deeper if it did that. So keep that in mind too. Okay. So let's just put on temporarily here. This is a placeholder, but I want to put it on here to show potential path. Let's say 3. Yeah, tops out right around there. 2 would be right about there. So this, we'd probably see something along these lines. 3 there, 4 maybe sideways-ish, sideways and down, and then 5 up. Potentially somewhere in that 35K region. If we could complete that, again, it's a diagonal, I don't trust it, but if we could complete it as 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we can look for a pullback after that because we should get a pullback and we can potentially buy there for the next move up. But once again, I don't necessarily see a sustainable bull market here. It's very possible that we just get into this red box and then still go down because all of the action is trash. It's all trash. We can't rely upon it for a sustained bull market. All right, that's our alternate. Main scenario for me still is that we come back down into this yellow box that we have yet to hit. As long as we remain below 31K now at this point, that is what I expect. So let's zoom in a little bit now. Hourly certainly got very overbought as well. You can see it's starting to come down now. Typically, once you start to see it, get this overbought and then come down, it typically continues, right? And this certainly did here, continued downwards until it started getting down into that really oversold region. So now that we have come back down, and we're starting this trajectory downwards, it's likely that we continue that path downwards until we get into that oversold territory. So that kind of lends some weight as well to beginning a move downwards as the most likely scenario. Obviously, the impetus for this move, the catalyst for this move was the fake ETF news that we had earlier today that the SEC had approved BlackRock's ETF, which turned out to be fake news. The news doesn't make price action. In my opinion, the news can really just be a catalyst for what it was probably going to do anyway. And you can see, once it started creeping above this, we had some time there. And again, that's when I took profit on my shorts. So I had shorted at 28.2, either here or here, I don't remember. But that's still good profit right there. I took profit on the shorts and basically went flat. And now just sort of waiting, see what happens going forward here. And let me zoom in even a little bit further, because down on, once again, the 5-minute chart, not necessarily something you can super rely upon. However, this rejection downwards, number one, is gigantic, and the volume during that far out matches the volume on the way up. So that says, that along with the fact that the news was fake, says it's unlikely that we are going to continue upwards from here. We also have from here a very clear ABC up, which I drew out earlier for members. There's our ABC up right there. Now, the bad news is this is simply an ABC down, which is probably making a larger ABC down, something like this. So we may yet see another push up. Based on how it looks right now, that wouldn't surprise me. So we may get a WXY, but it also wouldn't surprise me for it to just die directly, simply because, again, that news, that catalyst of the news was fake. And there is no ETF approval, and therefore it really should just retrace the entirety of the move, which would really take it back down to 27K or so, at which point I would expect continuation even further down based on the price action. All right, so we're going to leave that on there. Again, we're down super low time frame, 5-minute. Take that with a grain of salt, of course. But let me just put on here like a support box for the X wave, if in fact that's what it's doing and doesn't just crash and die. We'd probably see support somewhere right around here, 27.8 to 28.2. Looks to be potential support there for that X, with the ideal region being 27.986. And then if we do find support there, we can then draw the move up. And this would give us a box, whenever we get that, something like this. Maybe in the 28.7 to 29.4 would be kind of the resistance zone for this Y wave. If we're getting the Y wave, again, I'm not convinced of that, but if we are, Y wave up potentially around 29K would be the move that it makes if it doesn't die directly. So that's what I'll be watching for. Do we die directly? Do we bounce up here? And then, assuming we do resist here, do we then get a 5-wave move down? And if so, we can have real confidence in a short on the next bounce after that. Okay, and that would really be the safest way to play this. Wait for rejection here, wait for a 5-wave move down to form, and then short the bounce is, again, the safest way to play it. But realistically, this line right here, that's the 886 of the move down. So below 29,750, I'll expect continuation downwards and rejection at some point here to really start the move off again down to the low 20Ks. All right, I want to move back. I want to just assume that's the B wave top. I forgot to do this. Fib extension here. Let's assume that is the top now at 30K. We're going to draw a new fib extension downwards to adjust the second yellow box here. Secondary yellow box now is right here between the 618 and the 1236. So whereas before, if we had seen a direct drop down, I was expecting the lower end of that around 21K. We now have our main confluence. You can see where these boxes overlap. That's the main confluence area right there for this to go. If we are going to go down that's where I would expect it to go. The 1-0 extension being the ideal place for it to go. It doesn't have to hit that. But ideally it gets into where these double boxes overlap. So that looks like a good target, about 23.5. Could go as low as 22.2. Could go as high as maybe 24, 24.5. Maybe even 25 if it really wanted to be a jerk and not hit that yellow box. It could bottom out at the same point as that A wave did, but I think it's most likely to go, let's just call it sub 24.5. All right, so there is our main areas that we're looking at from the low time frames all the way up to the larger time frames. Still looking for that move down to sub 24.5 unless we fill out this 5-wave red diagonal here. Okay, that should sum it up. I will update you all again end of the week if we have movement that warrants it. If for some reason we just get sideways chop and nothing changes, I'll probably skip the video on Friday. But after such a big move, you would expect some more volatility to come, but who knows? It's Bitcoin. You never know what it's going to do. I've certainly seen it just kind of die after doing a big move like that and not actually do anything for a while. So that's possible. All right, I'll talk to you all when we get some more movement.